for our, so let's jump into the demo then, and this is going to be fine unless you know any others managed to join the CoScreen session.
We got Taiwo, Ava, Bill, Lorenzo in here.
May I just add, the trick was leaving your own CoScreen, and yeah, that was kind of lost on me.
Okay, I understand. You were in your own CoScreen. Okay, so I'll take note of that as for future sessions. So you were sort of stuck in your own CoScreen, but you had to leave to get into the other one. Okay, so look, we're going to start with a very simple scenario here. So what you can see is that Jason is in this case sharing his text editor. It's in blue, so it has the same color as his user. And I'm by default able to type into his window. So you can see that I just typed into Jason's window. It's a bit of a lag, but I should warn you because we only have one server. It's on the West Coast in the US, and I think we have participants from a bit all over, so which makes it a bit more complicated. But then what I can do, which is really where you see the difference between CoScreen and other tools, I can share my window, my terminal window with you guys at the same time. And in this case, Jason is writing a small command into my terminal, setting up Node, and running a very simple hello world type application. So this is essentially where you can see the difference. We're able to share windows both ways at the same time. This can be a text editor. This can be a terminal window. This can be a web browser session. This can be YouTube clip. It can essentially be anything. Of course, there are other tools. If you take something like Google Docs that let you collaborate on a specific document, or VS Code that's got an inbuilt collaborative feature. What those tools don't provide is this sort of ubiquitous, any type of software could be shared. So this is the CoScreen difference. Are there any questions so far?
Yes.
So I have to ask you to stay mute on CoScreen just because we're still running the audio through Zoom. Normally I would ask you to hang up on Zoom, but we keep the audio on Zoom. So yes, what was the question?
So my question, this is Taiwo speaking. Hi, Max.
Hi.
My question is, how do I interact with somebody's screen? Like, you just typed in a node command. If I want to interact with this same terminal, how do I just click into this box?
Exactly. So if you, you take the example of the window that, you can tap into any window, like take the one that Jason is sharing or the one I'm sharing, and just click into it and try to type something. And I should mention that you can do things such as copy pasting as well. So for instance, if Jason has typed something into something in his window, if you want to paste into mine, you can do that as well.
This is so cool.
So what does everybody else have access to on my computer right now? Because I see all the different arrows moving around, but they can only access the editor of windows that you have, right?
Correct. They can only access the windows you're sharing. So we always do a window by window sharing. We're never sharing the full desktop.
Okay.
In order to create this type of joint desktop.
And in particular, unless you've actively shared something, they can't interact. You can see the mouse cursors, but they're not actually able to interact with anything that on your desktop until you choose to share it.
Okay. Where are those mouses moving around? Are they on their own laptops or?
I mean, those are everyone's mouse pointers, right? And we're just sort of redrawing the coordinates. So you can probably see my mouse now moving around in a circle. And by the way, you know, as I said, it's still in private beta. We're still optimizing latency. You know, there might be some bugs here and there, things we are working through, but we're solving a lot of sort of small things every day. So it's really getting to the point where it's, I think, stable enough to work with, and it's all that we ever use within the team.
Max, it might be helpful if you can tell us just some use cases. I mean, we sent this out in the invite, but if we can just talk through this real quick, and then maybe people here can have some ideas for you too.
Yes.
So the use cases by persona, that is.
Well, so actually, I wanted to jump into another part of the demo. This is just for sort of the dipping the toes into how CoScreen works, and we're going to show you a particular use case. But if we take developers, for instance, we think that this will be a great tool for pair programming, other types of, say, pair debugging, any type of quality assurance work you need to do, especially if you're a QA engineer. We also use it for our team stand-ups, because we find it very useful. If you say, you know, you have a lot of people on a call and they all need to share something, you don't need to go through this elaborate process as in Zoom, that someone unshares, the other person reshares, shares instead, and then you have to unshare and back and forth. Usually what happens in those cases is that you give up and you start sending links on Slack instead. But that's not ideal either, because then everybody needs to separately open that to, you know, that link, and you need to describe to people how that, you know, where to look essentially. If, for instance, you can also think about people doing design work, it helps them a lot to compare things side by side. And also between designers and developers, if you need to hand over some work, you can actually look at, you know, what it should be and what the actual outcome is at the same time. Between, say, a front end and back end developer, which is the demo we're going to show you, you can do debugging of an API, meaning, you know, I'm trying to use your API, it's not working the way I think it should, and we can look at our code sets side by side. Yeah, Jason, if you want to fill me in as well, perhaps on some. Yeah,
I mean, so I use CoScreen a lot ever since joining the team. I'm a relatively recent ad as of March, and you know, one of the more recent use cases I've used it for is just getting familiar with some legacy code. In a code review, you know, there was a chunk of it that was, you know, wasn't obvious what it was doing, and so I just kind of brought up an editor with the person who was the original author of the code, and just kind of walked through the pieces that weren't quite obvious to me. You know, in the past I've done that and it's just slacking back and forth, or you go physically, you know, kind of be present at that person's station. Obviously these days that's a bit tougher. But it really kind of, for me, replaced those scenarios where I might have to go physically interact with someone. I can instead, you know, we can just share our different editors and views of the code and kind of walk through the exact, you know, I can point out what I'm having trouble with. You know, for me, one of the things that kind of really hooked me on what CoScreen was really capable of doing is, when in the past when I'd be involved in ops incidents, you know, inevitably that you got one person with a terminal, or two people with terminals and things like that, and you're looking at logs and all those things, and you're doing that somewhat independently and slacking things back and forth. And you know, in this particular case, you know, you can just kind of have both people have their terminals up, and we're walking through the pieces of it simultaneously. And it's just removing those sort of barriers maybe even the strong. It's just making it more efficient. That collaboration is instant rather than some mechanical back and forth. And those are two things that are, I guess, near and dear to my heart. with your, just based on past experience, frankly.
Very cool. Very cool. Look, what I'm going to do now, or together with Jason, we're going to show you a brief demo of how it could be used in the wild, in this case for API debugging. Please don't hesitate to ask me any questions you might have in the meantime. But essentially the scenario here is that I'm sort of a newbie front-end developer, just getting into this thing. I work together with Jason. Jason is this super senior back-end developer. I, as a front-end developer, have written this little client application that is trying to access Jason's API that is running on AWS in Node, sending it some data, and then being able to access that data back. So I'm going to reload the client. I'm going to hit this button, which is to get the current record from the API. But so I'm getting a connection refused. So I'm contacting Jason because I'm struggling. I don't understand why this is happening. Hey, Jason, do you have any ideas of what might be going on here? Why I'm not able to access your API, or if there's something I've done wrong?
Well, you're not able to talk to the server. So let me see if I can talk to the server.
So what happens here is that Jason essentially pulls in his terminal window. He runs a command to check if that server is actually running.
It doesn't look like it is. I can't talk to it either. So let me jump onto the server and see if I can. Oh, sure enough, it is not running. Okay. Max, can you try now?
Yes, sorry, I was just. Okay.
I guess I can
I'm
try
gonna
through your
again.
client too.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah, excellent. Okay, so yes, it's responding. Of course, it's empty. There's no data there. That's what I'm going to do with my little application. I'm going to try to just put some data in there. Hello world. Send that to your API to store it. Oh no. Now it has some other issue. It's a 400 bad request.
I didn't like something that you sent.
Yeah, this.
Can you pull up your code?
Yes. So this is my code. Maybe you can pull up your code.
Sure.
Next
Let
to
me
mine.
get the server side here.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to, let's see. So are you, okay, so you're doing a post, sending record. All right. Let me look at how this is going to handle it. Okay. So it's going to process body. All right. So it wants a data key or an ID key, data ID, data. Oh, you have a typo.
I have a typo. Okay.
Let me change that. I'll go ahead and save it. Let me see if I can rerun it now.
So you need to refresh the client. Did you?
Oh, yep.
You can do that.
Okay. Let me see here. No. No, didn't get an error. Oh.
Fantastic. It works. So of course, this is a very simple illustration of me doing front-end work together with Jason as a backend developer. But what's truly different here is that we're able to look at our code bases side by side. We're able to look at our error messages side by side. We're able to run terminal commands side by side, and this you cannot do with any other tool today. I can maybe to illustrate even sort of how far you would be able to take something like this. I'm gonna just bring up here in the case my mobile phone, right? So you could see if you're a mobile developer as well, how easily it is to share, okay, this is my mobile phone, this is what I'm seeing, and all of you are able to see that at the same time. And even if, say, Jason now was also doing this type of development on his phone, he will be able to pull up that up side by side, which just provides a much more useful debugging experience. Of course, I mentioned it, but you can also do things such as bring up your favorite YouTube clip. You can see how all of these things are running next to each other. I like to watch planes start and land for some reason. I just put it there to run in the background. Cool. Well, essentially, that's CoScreen. That's how it works. Now, of course, we already went through a few use cases, but it's really up to, I'd say, your imagination as well to sort of figure out exactly how you might be able to make use of this in your daily work, whether it be for this type of pair sessions that we just showed you, or if it's more for team stand-ups. And actually on our website that I'm showing you now, we have a more extensive list of use cases. So a bit depending on your profile, I think you'll find it useful for different reasons. I didn't mention it earlier, but in our case, mine and Jason's, I was more of a junior developer. Jason is more of a senior developer. So there's definitely a coaching aspect to it as well, helping someone else who's sort of struggling with a piece of code or struggling with how to do something, and to be able to show them the solution and at the same time look at their work side by side. Are there any questions at this point?
Well, I can comment to it that especially the teaching aspect is very useful. So I'm affiliated with a coding school here in Hamburg, Germany. And of course, now during COVID, for a while we had to take all the classes online, which kind of worked, but especially when you have practical applications of coding and bits and pieces and somebody just, misses a parenthesis somewhere. It takes, especially with a beginner, it takes a long time to talk them through what exactly you mean and where they have to look, and to tell them, well, can you go here? Can you go there? So this is definitely a better experience for them to quickly solve a problem and also show them exactly where it is without confusing them too much.
Well, yes, and that's great feedback. And we saw that today as well, right? As I was trying to get you all set up on CoScreen, I had no idea that you were in the CoScreen already, and you simply just had to leave in order to enter the other one. I mean, it's such a simple thing, but yeah, I can also very well see how that happened, and that it wasn't super intuitive. That what you had to do was to leave the CoScreen and get back to the main menu. So yeah, I think in this session we actually had a great example of where that would have helped. That type of sort of being able to illustrate exactly what someone should be doing. I want to mention that after this session, so I'd say this is essentially what we had for you today. We'll be sending you an email as well with download links. You'll be able to start using CoScreen with your peers, either by just sending that download link or by using this copy invite feature that you see on the bar to the left. If you use that copy invite feature, your peers will be redirected to a download page if they haven't downloaded the tool yet. And they can simply just sign in with whatever email they choose or Gmail. I just ask you not to share it broadly. Please don't post it online just yet, because it's still in private beta and we're still trying to control exactly who has access to the tool while we're working through some of these bugs and issues that are still present. But it's really getting stable to the point that we use it now in our daily work. I don't know, Jason, is there anything you would like to add?
I mean, no, I think, I think it's one of those tools that I think you kind of find ways that it can, at least my experience has been that I've found ways that I didn't even think about using it, that I now use it. For us on the team, we're all very much big fans of dog fooding. And so we regularly use it for a variety of things. Like I have, different days where I'll just do all my work through CoScreen on another laptop. And so we're really committed to try to make it just seamless. But it's always really interesting to see how others end up using it, because I think it has the capability of just kind of branching out in interesting ways. So.
Yeah. And I should also say, we have a small Slack community that is part of our early access program. So I'll send you an invite to that as well. So please join. That's the best place to provide feedback if you have questions. And as I've said earlier, good or bad feedback, I don't care. Anything is useful for us at this stage in order to build a product that you love using. So that's all there is right now.
Are you okay with it if I share this within my school where all the coding teachers are? So it's like a handful, maybe 10 people.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I think that's a great, first of all, it's a great use case, and yeah, it's a good size. I've actually spoken to a couple of other coding schools as well, so I think this is a very relevant use case you're bringing up. Definitely.
Excellent.
Right out. Yeah, and let me know. The only caveat is that you have to provide feedback on your experience and let us know what worked, what didn't work. Any other thoughts or questions?
Yes, this is Taiwo again. I have a question.
Sure.
My question is, can any member on the screen share their, how do I bring up something now to show on the screen now?
So, okay, so we can try this since we have a few minutes left. There's a sharing button next to your name.
Okay.
And it's a bit different. Say, if you have a dual screen setup, what you do is you simply say, this is where I run CoScreen, and you only have the windows there that you want to share. Because what that button is going to do is it's going to share all the windows that are open on that screen.
Okay.
So perhaps exactly minimize the ones you don't want to show. Now, what's going to happen is that, yeah, what we're doing in parallel is that we're working on a single window picking feature. So I'd say about a week from now, you will actually not have this anymore, that all the windows are shared that are open on the display. You'll be able to selectively choose which windows to share.
Okay.
I think in this case, yeah, you do see your web browser, and I'm able to go to YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. That's
Or I
so
could
cool.
copy paste from my window to yours.
So Max, you mean in 1 week we can choose which window to share? For right now, if you don't want people to see certain windows, you just minimize it.
Exactly. I'd say what I'm doing in my case is I'm running this on a secondary monitor, which is easier because then I can still keep everything else that's private on my other laptop monitor. But yes, that feature is coming very soon, so it's not an issue.
Before you join a CoScreen, that main menu, whichever display you drag that to, is what display will be your shared display. So if you have two monitors and you have it, like for example, I have my CoScreen on my laptop monitor and I have an extended monitor with a bunch of windows on it that I'm not actively sharing. And so you can designate which display you want to use by dragging that main menu before you join.
Someone has a question. Can it be recorded?
So there's no recording ability inside CoScreen today. What we do though is we use Loom a lot. You can also use QuickTime. So whatever screen recording tool that you have available would work. I think at some point we will probably have a recording feature inside of CoScreen as well. But yes, you have to sort of hack around it. What else?
Any other questions? Okay.
Here's some kids in the background.
Sorry, my 6-month-old.
Oh no, that was vaping.
Well, thank you so much for the session. I thought it was really fun to be able to, you know, participate, and like, I've never seen this before. So it's fun to even experience it the second time. Yeah.
And thank you so much for organizing, Shirley. And, you know, I want to thank all of you who participated also, because, you know, we're still in private beta. It's the first time we actually run a session of this size with this many participants. You know, a few things we had to work through, but we could finally run our demo. So, you know, thank you for your patience and your interest. And I hope you'll all make good use of CoScreen after this and provide us with plenty of feedback on how this is hopefully helping you in your daily work.
Absolutely. Thank you, Max and Jason.
Thank you, Max and
send
Jason.
an email to everyone later on. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.